So, what are we doing today? Today we're building window frames. So, we have the window, and every window is slightly different, so you got to make sure you keep an eye on that. But they come with a window trim ring. Now, the key is the distance. So, most of these windows, they're designed for RVs that have about 1 3/4 to 2 inch kind of walls. Now, our bus doesn't have 2 inch walls, they're actually just a piece of sheet metal. So what we need to do is measure a piece of wood and cut it so it fits right there. So when everything's all said and done, this trim ring sandwiches the actual frame that we're going to build to the actual skoolie itself, and that's how they're held in. And then we built a second trim ring all the way around it in order to kind of trim out the rest of the window. But what we've done so far is we've measured the outside of this, because this actually, the trim ring is actually wider than the window frame itself, and we've cut ourselves a few pieces of wood which will go all the way around just like that and make a nice little box that the window frame will sit in. Now, the windows, they're rounded, so they have this rounded corner, and when you put the frame around it, you have this little tiny triangle, and that's where this comes into play. That will actually go inside, and when everything is all said and done and the frame is on, there is no exposed spot. So let's do this up, shall we? And there you go. So now we have a nice trim ring that fits inside the inner frame. When the window goes from the outside in and gets squished in, this is actually going to hold the window in place. However, our walls are still thicker than what this is, so we actually need to make a second trim ring that goes all the way around this that's actually thicker. Or what we can do, and this is where you can actually cheat and use the same kind of wood, is you don't have to put it flush against this face. You actually can bring it out to where you need and then just tack it in place, and that trim ring will sit flush with the studs, and everything will be all nice and perfect. So that's what we did with one window. We're going to continue with this window. Okay, so I built the second box. So there's the second box, and right now it's not really connected to the inner ring. It's just nice and flush. So when we go to put it into the bus, before we actually start screwing down the window, we're going to place this where it needs to be, and we're going to shift this outer ring so it sits flush to where the wall studs are, so right to there, and then we can tack it in place, and then we know exactly, okay, that will fit nice and flush, so when we put the wood up against this, it'll fit nice and perfectly. So takes a lot of little finicking, but when it's all done, it's done pretty nicely, and then that will help sandwich the window in place, and we're all good. So, okay, so what we've done is we've taken the angle grinder and we traced out the window opening, and we took the angle grinder and cut that out. Ideally, you would like to use a skill saw, but in this case, the frame is way too close, so we had to go with the angle grinder, and we cut it out. We cut it out just on the inside of the traced line, because the last thing you want to do is make the hole too big. You can always feather it out as needed, but when you place these windows, we're going to put a big glob of the butyl tape all the way around, and we're going to sandwich it. But these windows, they have weeping holes at the bottom, so it's going to go like this. And we'll have someone on the outside kind of hold that in place and push it this way. We'll put the frame on, and then we'll put the trim ring, And when we screw the trim ring in, that will squeeze the window nice and tight and squeeze out all that butyl tape, making a nice giant seal. And just like that, we'll end up having ourselves a window. When you are tightening up the windows, you want to go slowly and slowly work your way up with the screws on either side. They're pretty flimsy, and it's flimsy aluminum, so you could strip the screws pretty easily. So you just kind of go slow. But yeah, let's get this window in permanently.